Welcome to Live Interactive English. Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
Hi, I'm Rainbow.
And today we are back with Ryan Reynolds, the famous movie star who, as we learned yesterday, has gone from supermarket shelves to superhero suits. That doesn't mean he was actually on the shelf in a supermarket where you could buy him. It means he worked at a supermarket putting things on shelves where people could buy them when he was a young, struggling, and not very famous actor. He needed a job. He worked at a supermarket. I don't think he works at the supermarket now.
If he did, maybe it would be like for a movie promotion.
Yeah, I think he probably might own a bunch of supermarkets as a businessman because he's, rich and famous. But yes, we learned some interesting things about him. Born in Vancouver, Canada in 1976, he had a big family and he grew up as the youngest brother. He was kind of a sensitive kid, but this led him to some success as an actor, starting in school plays and then getting his first part on TV at the very old age of 12. 12. He was a working actor. But then, of course, Hollywood came coming, and he's done pretty well there, hasn't he?
Yeah, and we know him for the most famous Deadpool franchise, which is Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and the most recent Deadpool and Wolverine, which you have to watch because unlike other superhero movies, I think it's got some new stuff to it.
Okay.
More creative, stuff that hasn't been done before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're always trying to do new things, and I think a lot of people like the Deadpool movies. They're for a slightly older audience, right? There's kind of a lot of swearing in them and things like that, but they're also very funny. And I think at a time when, Batman was so serious and the Avengers were all being killed by Thanos and stuff like that, people kind of needed a superhero movie that seemed not so, scary and heavy and serious where the world was always going to end. And I think Deadpool kind of hit a nice spot for that.
Yeah.
And of course, he has a great sense of humor. We learned yesterday that this newest movie, he actually co-wrote, co-produced as well. So he's not just working in front of the camera acting, he's working behind the camera in many parts to make sure that the movies he's involved with are the best they can be. So let's find out more about Mr. Ryan Reynolds. In addition to his professional success, Reynolds has earned a reputation for being one of the nicest people in the movie industry. He says that this is due to the conflict resolution techniques he learned in his 20s. Reynolds learned the importance of conflict resolution when he did a course on leadership skills. Although he hadn't expected much from this course, it turned out to be a game changer. All right, yep, here we are, part 2, the second half of our article, all about Ryan Reynolds, from supermarket shelves to superhero suits, and I would add, and so much more. Right, let's get to it.
In addition to his professional success, Reynolds has earned a reputation for being one of the nicest people in the movie industry. He says that this is due to the conflict resolution techniques he learned in his 20s. So not only does he seem to be a good actor, he also seems to be a great person. Let's find out why. Because in the movie industry, not everybody is known for being nice.
That could be true. And yes, when we use this word industry, we're talking about a category of business.
A field.
A field of business is another good way to say it. And generally, we'll talk about this when we're talking about not one company, but companies that do a certain type of business. The computer industry.
The
Apple,
food industry.
Right, Apple, IBM, Microsoft, that would be the computer industry. The car industry, Toyota, Ford, BMW, the airline industry, EVA Airways, China Airlines, British Airways. So that's the kind of category or group. And yeah, show business, we could talk about being the movie industry, the music industry, maybe the television industry. These would all be parts of show business. And of course, Ryan Reynolds is mostly connected to the movie industry. And we also use this word in our example sentence by saying the technology industry is growing quickly. This would be computers and other devices that we might carry around. And it also says he became very good at conflict resolution as a child. Interesting.
In his 20s. So conflict, the noun, this means when some people have an issue with another person, a problem, a disagreement, an argument, somewhere we are not on the same page is where we have conflict. Now, conflict can be worked on, and we call that conflict resolution, which means to work on to reach a similar conclusion when at first we feel very different. Instead of fighting and saying, I hate you, let's see how we can come together and make it work. When Charles and Sean get together, there is always conflict. Maybe they're not the best of friends because something about them just doesn't rub right with each other, and they tend to disagree a lot with one another. Now, when people have a lot of conflict, or companies or businesses, or any time there's a disagreement, we want to try to work on it by having techniques.
A technique is a way of doing something, all right? So you have a problem, you want to solve the problem. There may be different ways of doing that. How you choose to do it, how you learn to do it, how you are told to do it, that would be one technique, one way of doing something. We can also use this in the real world when you take piano lessons, right? Your teacher might say, oh, keep your wrists up and keep your hands nice and soft and maybe stretch your fingers before you start playing. Coaches and trainers and experts who know about an activity, how to do it well, they're valuable because they can teach you the best techniques. You could teach yourself to play piano, but you might be doing it in a way that makes it harder for you or causes you to get hurt in the end. So if you learn a better technique or a way of doing it, you will be able to do it more easily at a higher level. Here's an example. The baseball player's batting technique is very unusual. He closes his eyes and waves the bat around with one hand, but he always hits a home run.
Oh, very strange strategy. Reynolds learned the importance of conflict resolution when he did a course on leadership skills. Although he hadn't expected much from this course, it turned out to be a game changer. So he actually took a class which helped him to solve problems and learn about it. And this we called a leadership camp or a leadership class.
Yes, a leadership is basically the state or art of being a leader. All right, if you're a boss, if you're a manager, if you have to have a group of people working under you, following your orders, doing what you ask them to do, and having all of those workers be happy in doing all of those things you need them and tell them to do, then you are showing good leadership. So people who are in the army, people in business, if you're the head of something, if you're the captain of your team in a sport, all of these things will need leadership of some kind. Keeping everyone happy, keeping everyone focused, and even if some people on your team don't really like each other, you need to find ways to have them work together peacefully so that good things get done. Leadership seems simple, but it is both an art and a science. For example, this country needs strong leadership. Let's take a break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们今天要继续介绍 Ryan Reynolds 这一位演员。课文提到，除了职业上的成功，他还赢得了电影界数一数二好好先生的声誉。他自己说啊，这是因为他在20多岁的时候学到解决冲突的技巧。当时他在上领导技能课程，学到解决冲突的重要性。尽管他对这一门课程并没有抱太大的期望，但是结果却产生了很大的影响。好，文中用到 game changer。就是指大幅改变局势或主流想法的人事物。那么单字 industry 它表示行业、产业或工业。Mike 老师在提到产业类别时，他用到 category 这个字 category category 它可以指这个类别或是种类。 下一个单字 conflict 表示冲突或是分歧，它可以当可数名词或是不可数名词。Rainbow 老师在解释单字时，他有提到 disagreement， 就是在 agreement 前面加上 dis 这个否定字首，那它表示意见分歧、不同或是不一致。再看到 technique 这个名词，它表示技巧或是技法、技能。Leadership 则是指领导、领导力，注意它是不可数名词。那这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看看第一个重点是过去完成式 had 加上 PP， 这是用来表示在过去某个时间点或某个动作之前就已经完成了经验或动作。那它常常会搭配过去简单式使用，用来指过去这两个动作的先后顺序。先发生的就会用过去完成式，后发生的会用过去简单式。例如The children had fallen asleep before he got home. 在他到家之前，孩子们已经睡着了。那孩子们是先睡着嘛？睡着是先发生的动作，所以用过去完成式 had fallen。他到家是后发生的动作，所以用到了过去简单式 got。看到第二个重点是 turn out， 它表示结果是怎么样，最后变成怎么样，通常是指令人意外或者是跟计划不同的事。以下要介绍两个常见句型。第一个呢，我们可以用人或事物 turn out to be 再加形容词或名词，其中的 to be 可以省略。例如 The magic show last night turned out to be a disaster. 昨晚的魔术秀结果是一场灾难。好，那第二个句型是 It turns out that 主词加动词。例如 It turns out that the restaurant has moved to a new location. 结果那间餐厅已经搬到新的地点了。好，接回课文中。
The world we live in, he says, forces us to constantly compete, and that makes it harder to see something from another person's point of view. Instead of trying to win a conversation, we should focus on truly listening. He believes that doing this can lead to a deeper understanding of other people. Then, when we have this understanding, we can solve shared problems together. Ryan Reynolds' journey proves that you can reach the top without putting other people down. So you don't have to be a fan of his acting work to learn a thing or two from Hollywood's nicest celebrity. All right, welcome back. We're talking about how Ryan Reynolds not only is a good actor, but also he's learned a lot in his life about keeping people happy, conflict resolution, finding peace when people disagree, and also he has good leadership skills. He's good at kind of being a boss, but being a good boss and keeping workers happy and focused on their jobs. He's not the kind of guy who sounds like he likes arguments. He likes people to be always on edge around him. I think his family was on edge. There's a lot of stress and tension in his family as a kid, and it probably made him quite unhappy. So he wants to do differently now he's grown up. The world we live in, he says, forces us to constantly compete, and that makes it harder to see something from another person's point of view. Very interesting. I guess also being an actor in Hollywood means there's a lot of competition. People are constantly competing against each other to try to get the best movie parts, to get the most money and that kind of thing. If something is happening constantly, that it's happening all the time. All right, it doesn't stop. If someone is constantly ringing the phone at your house, you would get quite annoyed, right? You would pick it up and go, why do you keep calling here? If there's a noise outside your window that might be constantly keeping you awake, it would really, really bother you. So it could be something bad, but it also could be something nice and lovely. You know, a husband could be constantly telling his wife how much he loves her and how wonderful she is.
And how beautiful she is.
It just means it happens a lot. It happens all the time, almost with no break. For example, Brian is constantly eating. No wonder he's put on weight.
Ugh, no wonder.
Even in bed, he eats 6 or 7 G-pie a night.
Oh my goodness. goodness. So we have the verb compete. And as Mike mentioned before, there was competition, which is the noun. So compete is the action of going against one another to see who wins. People can compete with one another for one job, or countries can compete with one another for maybe businesses, maybe the growth of the country. Anytime there is like a battle or somebody who is winning or losing, they are competing, or it is a competition. The sample sentence, our small business is trying to compete with some of the biggest companies in the world. We may not have the same resources, but I want to achieve better results than the biggest companies. Okay, back to the article. Instead of trying to win a conversation, we should focus on truly listening. It means I don't have to say I'm right. I can just hear what you're saying. Oh, I understand. Without putting yourself into the conversation, because it's not always about us. He believes that doing this can lead to a deeper understanding of other people. I want to know what you're really about instead of just saying, hey, I'm smart, I know more than you. Next sentence is then, when we have this understanding, we can solve shared problems together because we understand what each other cares about and we care about different things. So I can provide a solution which is nice for both of us.
Good. He sounds like a peacemaker and a team player. Sounds like a great guy to work with. Ryan Reynolds' journey proves that you can reach the top without putting other people down. You can achieve great things without hurting other people on the way to the top. So you don't have to be a fan of his acting work to learn a thing or two from Hollywood's nicest celebrity.
That's true.
Even if you don't like his movies too much,
That's true.
You can admire him for just being the kind, the nice, and successful person that he has become today. All right, we have this question for you guys. How do you try to reach an understanding with other people in your life?
I usually like to ask them questions about why they do certain things or how they think in order to know about what goes on in their mind, because I know that we are different. So when I know more about your process, I can more talk in the way that is easily understood by you about what you care about. So then we can more be on the same page.
Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
That's right.
See the problem or see how they view the problem.
That's right.
From their point of view. Makes it easier to understand them.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We wish you all the best relationships, both professional and personal, and anywhere in your life. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.
Be kind.
Ryan Reynolds 认为，我们生活的这个世界迫使我们不断竞争，使得我们更难从别人的角度来看待事情。我们不应该试图赢得对话，好像一定要讲赢别人才行。那相反的，我们应该专注于真正的聆听。他认为这么做呢，就可以对别人有更深入的了解。有了理解之后，就能一起解决共同的问题。非常有道理。这边我们来看单字 constantly。constantly 这个副词就表示不断地、时常地。那么 compete 这个动词它表示竞争、竞赛，也可以表达参加，像是参加比赛。好，那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边我们要学习的是 make it 形容词加上不定词 to be， 是表达使做某事变得怎么样。好，那我们先复习一下 make 加受词加形容词是指使什么变得怎么样。那当这个受词是不定词片语 to be 的时候，我们要用虚受词 it 代替这个受词位置，然后把真正的受词 to be 移到句尾，就会形成 make it 形容词 to be。那么形容词后面还可以加入 for somebody， 表达对什么什么来说。例如 The wind made it difficult to light the candles。风使得蜡烛难以点燃。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
In addition to his professional success, Reynolds has earned a reputation for being one of the nicest people in the movie industry. He says that this is due to the conflict resolution techniques he learned in his 20s. Reynolds learned the importance of conflict resolution when he did a course on leadership skills. Although he hadn't expected much from this course, it turned out to be a game changer. The world we live in, he says, forces us to constantly compete, and that makes it harder to see something from another person's point of view. Instead of trying to win a conversation, we should focus on truly listening. He believes that doing this can lead to a deeper understanding of other people. Then, when we have this understanding, we can solve shared problems together. Ryan Reynolds' journey proves that you can reach the top without putting other people down. So you don't have to be a fan of his acting work to learn a thing or two from Hollywood's nicest celebrity.
Here's how to play. The host will be holding 3 cards. Each card will have 2 sentences containing a secret vocabulary word or phrase that has been replaced by the word bear. The host will read the sentences out loud for the contestants to guess. Whoever guesses first gets a point. The person with the most points wins. And you can play along too.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt.
I'm Winnie.
I'm Stephen.
Today we're playing Guess the Bear. So they are playing, I'm hosting. Are you guys ready?
Always.
I'm a little scared, but
Yeah.
I'm ready.
We're gonna begin anyway.
Okay.
So this one's an adjective. Paul needed to sit down to rest his bare feet. After playing basketball, my shoulders are bare.
Sore. Tired.
Stephen finished it first with sore, and that is the correct answer. So Paul needed to sit down to rest his sore feet. After playing basketball, my shoulders are sore.
Okay, I sense a little favoritism, but we're gonna move on.
All right, this one is a noun. You can still catch up and tie.
Okay.
The new job puts Victor under a lot of bear. Betty couldn't take the bear of trying to be perfect anymore.
Pressure.
Stephen is right with pressure. Similar words, stress and pressure, but it was pressure. So the new job puts Victor under a lot of pressure, and Betty couldn't take the pressure of trying to be perfect anymore. All right, last one is a 2-word phrase.
Okay.
All right.
I'm feeling the pressure now.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, using the word right away. Good.
The long walk really bared the puppy bear. I hope the hike up the mountain won't bear me bare too much.
Tire out.
Good job, Winnie! So the sentences were, the long walk really tired the puppy out.
Aww.
And I hope the hike up the mountain won't tire me out too much.
This game of Guess the Bear tired me out.
All right, well, you're pretty much tied on that last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're the winner.
I know.
I'm not a sore loser.